especially when they didn't know the outcome. So if somebody was going after something, and even if it could be dangerous, it was the pursuit of it that made them go after it time and time again. So we are all seekers. We wake up every day looking for something, putting ourselves out there, seeking something. And my point in this is that what is it that we all seek? What is it that we are looking for? What is it that we're going after? So I want you to think about, in your goals for this year, what is really the driver? What is it that you're looking for? And more importantly, why do you want it? Because we live in a world where we are consumed with something better, something shinier, something more important, and we think it's what we want. We think it's what's going to make us feel good. But again, 60 years of science is that it's not even when you achieve something that makes you happy, it's in the seeking of it. So for me personally, what I seek, it should be something that is going to be long-lasting, that I actually will find value in, because it's never where you arrive to, it's always the process is the purpose. So science and spirituality both find that. It's everything that happens in the middle of that journey that really drives us to go after more. So I want to talk about a very specific topic. Kabbalists talk about desire. Desire is the biggest gift that any of us receive in life. And you wouldn't really think about that, right? But if a person doesn't have desire, they're basically not really living anymore. Desire is what keeps us alive. It informs what you want and why you want it. I have 4 children, and years ago, my second son asked me this question, and I'm going to preface it with this so you'll understand in context what it really means. He has Down syndrome, and he says really profound things that you wouldn't expect, that don't seem really relevant, but they're deeply profound. So one day we're in the kitchen, and he comes to me and he said, "Mom, when I grow up, I want to be on a football team. Do you think it's something that I can do?" And I looked at him and I said, "Josh, I want you to be able to achieve all the things that you want in life, and I hope whatever you desire, you will achieve." So after a few minutes, he looks at me and he said, "So Mom, what do you want to be when you grow up?" So it was humorous, but it was profound, because I looked at him and I said, well, I am grown up. And then I thought about it. What is it that I ultimately want to be? And that's the profound question here. Because we can go through life and we can have our goals, we can decide what we want to be and how we want to make our mark in the world. And again, it's very much in that pursuit of, I desire this, I'm tapping into my seeking nature, but what is the driver? Again, why do you desire what you desire? Every single day, and I've trained myself to do this, every single day I stop and I ask myself, why is it that I want what I want? Why am I pursuing what I'm pursuing? And ultimately, who do I want to become? Because who I am today is just today. Who I am tomorrow, I hope, is a different person. Who I am a week from now, I hope, is even more different. Who I am a year from now, I hope, is unrecognizable. So we want to, again, if you look at, again, what's happened in this past week, it's incredibly painful. It feels punishing. It feels unfair. But if we look at our life as a whole, what is it that we are meant to become? And I think often we stop early in the pursuit of that. We arrive somewhere, we achieve something that we think we want, yet do we feel happy? Do we feel joy from that? So I want to open your minds tonight to this idea. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. You have paper in front of you, and we're going to do some, I really actually think it's so important for you to write things down, because if not, nothing's actually going to change. So here's the first part. You have these printouts that we have in folders that we're going to share. So you can write on that. I don't want you to write on your phones because you'll be distracted by social media or whatever your text or your email is. But we have these papers, and we also have little notebooks as well. So the first question I want to ask in this new year for the new you is, what kind of growth do you seek? What kind of energy or blessings do you want to draw into your life? And what do you want to remove from your life? Because if you want this new year to be different, it's not only what you want to create, but sometimes it's what you want to eliminate. And we have more power in doing that than we think. So I'm going to take a minute, we're going to pass these out. So everybody has the notebook, but also you can write on the folders that they're passing out.
Okay.
Oh, I got you.
I think that's it.
I'm going to read the questions, but it's also on the folders you're going to get that they're passing out, but I'll do it again. Okay. What kind of growth do you seek this year? The next question is, what kind of energy blessings do you want to invite into your life? And the third is, what do you want to remove from your life? And that last one's really important because I think people often think, this is my circumstance, or this is my family, or this is my job, I have to just settle with it, I can't really change anything, which is ultimately a victim response. We only have so many days in this world, and anything that you want to change, or remove, or manifest is completely possible. So you have to know that, and you have to allow yourself to pursue that. When people already negate that, it's never gonna happen, I can't change my circumstances, I can't change anything, guess what? You absolutely cannot. But if you start to think that these things, I have a limited time, why did I come here? Why are we all here? Is it just to wake up, repeat the same routine every day, get married maybe, have children maybe, and then do it all over again? That is not why we are here. Kabbalah teaches that we are here to transform. We are here to evolve. We are here to expand our consciousness so that we can leave the world different than we came into it, and that we can impart our own energy and our essence into everybody whose life we come across. Whether they're in pain or they're in joy, we're meant to share those experiences. We're meant to grow our expressions of who we are. To tap into your potential, you have to remove what is not necessary. So it's not like a fun, what's tonight, Tuesday? I'm coming from New York. It's just not a fun, it's Tuesday, right? It's not a fun Tuesday night where we're just having this kind of conversation. This could be a different game for you. Your life can change from this moment forward if you decide. And I want you to decide. I decided 27 years ago and counting. And every day looks different. That's how it's supposed to be. You're meant to love your life. You're meant to love your experience. You're meant to love yourself. And you're meant to connect to every person that you meet. But unfortunately, we hold all of this baggage, these false belief systems, and things that we think we can never change. You can change. You can change what you want. You can grow the life you want. So I hope when I ask these questions, and there will be a few, that you really take it to heart so that you leave tonight, whether I see you again or not, you leave tonight changed. At least your idea of what your life can be is changed, and you have the courage to pursue it. So answer those 3 questions, and then we'll get to the next part. So this leads me to my next idea. I love the word freedom. And if I asked all of you tonight what freedom means to you, I'd get many different answers. It would be varied, and it would be individual, and be very specific. Most people think that freedom is free from chaos. right? I hear so many times I meet with people, I want free to be, I want free to do what I want, I want free with this, I want freedom with that. Freedom is not absence of chaos. Freedom, right, because freedom would be like, oh, I just want to have my health back, or I want a renewed relationship. That's not freedom. Freedom is not being attached to anything external. Think about that for a second. We usually are so dependent on everything external. What do they think? What are they saying? Do they like me? Am I popular? Do they think I look good? Did I sound good? It's all external. That is not freedom, clearly, right? And those are like the shackles of life. Freedom is something very different. One of my favorite authors, David Foster Wallace, talks about this. It was in his commencement speech in 2005, and what he described freedom to be was not worshiping. Now, raise of hands, who thinks they worship anything in this life? A few honest people out there. I think I have 10 hands. So what is worshiping? I like this word because nobody likes it, right? It has a religious connotation. It's something that seems very weak. What do you mean we're worshiping? The examples that he gives in his speech is that if you worship money and things, you'll never have enough. If you worship your sexual allure or beauty, youth, that you will die a million deaths before you're grieved by other people, because age and time will catch up with you. Worshiping is being attached to anything external. Anything that you're relying on that people will like you, that they will accept you. And this isn't new, right? There's parables about this, myths written about this. The great skeleton of any story is exactly this. In fact, I think Demi Moore won some award recently about that exact idea. Pursuing that, chasing that, worshiping that. So I want to ask you to write down, what is freedom to you? Is it the end of a job you don't like, or a relationship that's not working? What is freedom to you? And be honest. Don't forget the lofty idea of what freedom is. What does it look like in your day-to-day life now? So the next question is, what do you want to be free from? And to know that, you have to look at where you invest your energy in most days, your thoughts, your time. What are you a slave to? So I want to share with you the slave that I served for many years was approval. I bowed down to it. I worshiped it. If I didn't get it, I was sad. It made me small. It wilted me. And eventually I was invisible to myself. Now, I hope you see I'm not that person today, because at some point I ended up choosing myself. Instead of looking for all those external opinions of people who would like me, who would approve of me, I stopped and asked myself, am I happy with how I spend my time, my thoughts, my energy? And that was the big shift. We are a slave to something. It's not sexy. We don't want to admit it. But that's how we live our life most days. Had I not had that moment where I woke up and decided no more, I would not be speaking in front of you, because I would care too much what you thought. I would care if I made sense. I would care if I walked out of here and you liked me. None of that matters. This is me imparting information, wisdom. You like it, great. If not, I'm going to keep doing it because I believe in it. So can be a changing moment for you. What is it that is the shackle for you? Because the prisons that we're in, we don't realize this. They're as strong as metal chains. And they're belief systems that are false. That we're not good enough, that nobody will love us, that we're not smart enough, we're not successful enough. Those insidious thoughts that we have over and over again, those are the prisons that keep us shackled. So what is holding you back? And I would love at this point, whoever's brave, to share, because I think we can connect with one another. And believe me, I can guarantee you, out of the 3 things or 5 things you've written down, or even 1 thing, 15 people, 20 people in the room have the same thought. So who would like to share? And please tell us your name as well.
I'm Moriel.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all. Sharing what I want to be free from.
Mhm.
I want to be free from caring what others think about me and expect from me, and I'm a slave to others' opinions and expectations and judgments.
Now, who has that thought in this room? Everybody. The hands are low, but everybody has that thought, and nobody wants to admit it because we want to be more than that. And on our good days, we feel okay. But at the end of the day, when we go to sleep, we do an accounting of our day, and we say, oh, wow, what did I say? What did I do? Did they like me? Everybody has that. It's how we come into this world. And unless you choose something else, you will never overcome it. And I promise you, and I promise everybody in this room, it's completely doable. If you saw the version of me 20 years ago, unrecognizable, and I'm going to say it over and over again, who I am today, I hope I'm unrecognizable for myself 20 years from now. That is the goal. Everybody cares what everybody thinks. Everybody judges, and everybody is judged. It's the world of physicality we live in, but it's not our essence, it's not our soul, it's not what we're meant to do in this world. So when we talk about these things, and we have the courage to change them and to choose ourselves over others in that regard, not in the sharing regard, but in that external, I need them to like me for me to be whole, when we change that, our whole world changes. Who else would like to share? I knew you were going to share. What's your name?
My name is David. Hi, everybody. So I guess I would want freedom from the limiting beliefs or rigidity that I probably learned from childhood.
Exactly. And most of our beliefs are from childhood, but also Kabbalah teaches that we're born into those families to help us see what we need to get past. So that is called tikkun. We came in this world with that specific correction, and that's why the family maybe pushed that or encouraged that unknowingly for you to overcome it. So what is it you really believe? Because that's not your belief system. That's a belief system that you grew up with. What do you really believe about yourself?
That I can achieve a certain life without things having to be a certain way. Like, I guess, for example, like on my watch right now, there are a few of the nodes that are loose, and part of me wanted to fix them like over and over again, but then I thought to myself that it's an example that not everything has to be in the right place for it to be the right time for something. So my watch still tells me the correct time, even though some of the nodes are loose. So like rigidity, like things don't have to be
Perfect.
Exactly like this for me to welcome light into my life.
And also just be kind to yourself. I can feel that, like, we do this, right? Our biggest critic is in our own head very often. And when we let go of those belief systems that are not ours, but we think they're ours because we grew up with that voice in our head, and we stop and say, okay, wait a second, do I believe this to be true? And if not, you change it. And by the way, your dreams are on the other side of that. People never really understand that. They think, oh, I don't know why I'm not manifesting. I don't know why I'm not achieving. I tried this, or I found that spirituality, or I studied Kabbalah. It's not working yet. But what is the predominant thought we have every day? Is it the old belief systems that are not yours, that are not connected to your soul? Because if they were the true ones, right, this is not really a big deal. Who cares if that's loose or not? Doesn't really matter. That voice is actually going to get you to where you want to go, right? And that's really powerful. Yes.
I grew up in Santa Monica, and I was recently traveling for a long time, and I came back, and actually the last couple of weeks of my travels, I thought, I don't think living in the city of LA is for me anymore. And the next day the fire started, and I kind of validated that, weirdly enough. But what I wanted to say is that think my whole life, I kind of thought I should be within 10 minutes of everyone I love, all my close friends, my close family, and I love them so much, but I'm not sure the environment is for me anymore. And I think that was a very limiting factor because I kind of felt this push and pull, and now I'm kind of concluded that I'm going to get away from physical environment that I'm in and try something different. So.
I love that so much because I think that's courageous. That you not only are sharing it tonight, but more importantly, that you allowed yourself to hear your internal desire. You're honoring it, and it might be scary, and I'm sure you're going to get pushback. I think maybe from Persian, I'm Persian too. But I think that the idea that you're going to really honor that. I mean, I moved to New York. When I moved 11 years ago, my family still lives here. We had a lot of opposition, which is actually one of the points we're going to talk about in a little bit. And what I told myself is I can always come back to what I know. I can always come back here if the move's a disaster, but something's calling me to move forward. And that's the voice to listen to. And that's a beautiful example of what the internal voice is versus the external call of everybody else. Yeah, thank you. One more person?
I want to be free from my tikkun.
Two more people. Yes.
They can go first.
No, go ahead.
Just want to be free.
What's
from
your
my-
name?
I'm Shmuel. Sweet Shmuel. I want to be free from my tikkun, and I want my avoda to be over with, and I want to kind of like, shed the obligations of whatever my spiritual obligations are to that.
What is your tikkun?
What is my tikkun? It's never ending. It's infinite.
But have you identified specifically what you think it is?
Absolutely.
But you don't want to share.
Well, it's faith, fitness, and finance. I mean, it's on different levels. So I think the tikkun has to do with being able to become more close in love with my ancestors, to love the Torah that I've been given, to carry it forward to future generations. I think my tikkun is to stay healthy and fit. And I think my tikkun is also to be able to identify financial issues within the economy and within my community and be able to help people refine those and elevate them and be able to use their finances to serve all good, to rebalance things in the form of stuff.
I would challenge that. It sounds like that's your sense of responsibility versus tikkun.
Well, I think we have obligations in Eastern culture, and I think in Western culture we want our rights. But I feel very strongly about my obligations, and then I feel once I'm free from those, that I can move on and truly be free.
Okay. I would identify one and start there. So it's a long list.
Thank you.
Go ahead. What's your name?
Sanya. I want to be free from perfectionism, especially about the physical beauty, and basically free from fear of losing love, losing physical beauty.
Okay, I was a perfectionist. I can tell you it's never going to happen. You will never get there. It's a dead-end street. There's no such thing as perfectionism, and it's the worst word in the dictionary. I'm not even joking, because it's the way to punish yourself in the pursuit of what's impossible. Telling you fully and wholeheartedly it will never happen, it's an impossibility. We're not meant to be perfect. We're meant to be us. You're meant to find your potential of your soul and who you are, and that is beautiful. And when you really tap into that, none of this is going to matter. You're fixated on that because you're avoiding the truer reality of what you really need to achieve, which is something that's far more real and purposeful. Honestly, it's the road to misery. It's impossible. So just the remedy, though, is to love yourself as you are, so that you can change the parts of yourself that you don't love. But you can only create change from love. You have to love yourself fully and completely first.
Are you going to tell us how to do that? Because I know how, and a lot of the times I'm there, but then I still, I teeter-totter constantly being like, of course I love my soul, who cares what I look like? But then I always go back to that childhood trauma, from my parents, this is not perfect, that's not perfect, so now I'm getting that.
Okay, do you want to emulate your parents' life, though?
No.
Are you proud of what they're doing? Do you think that's the model for you?
No.
So why are you giving them all of your energy? And why are you allowing them to dictate what your life is or isn't?
That's the question.
No, that's the choice. No, think about it, because I understand it. I understand completely. And I think that everybody at some point, all the people we give our power to, and right now it's your parents, it could be a boyfriend, it could be anybody, even a child, right? Why is it that you are assigning them to have so much power over your life today? As a child, I understand it completely. You're in their arms. It's like you're up. It's completely up to their to their efforts, whether you survive or not, right? I understand that. But now at this point, why are you giving them all your energy? Take it back. Take back your power. And I think that if you start to focus on what you want to become and to do versus what you're not enough of and what you heard when you were a child, everything's going to switch for you. So that's the first step. Who is it you want to become versus what are you not enough of? Enough with that talk. For detailed steps on how to do that, it's in Making Love. First 8 chapters are all about that. Okay, one more, and then we're going to go to the next
I
one.
think a big fear that comes with all of these kind of slaves and freedom moments are if your family, your friends, your culture, your community kind of proves this to continue on, how do you release that without losing them, right? How do you find your own perfection? How do you find your own identity without losing family members or friends or communities that kind of push those traits even further?
So you're afraid if you change, you won't have the relationships you have anymore?
Yeah, that could be a fear, yeah, of course.
Okay, so if somebody loves you, really loves you unconditionally, which means that they love your essence and your soul, they will love you no matter what. They may not like certain things, and by the way, change makes people uncomfortable. So if you change, they're probably not going to like it. If you change, you might not show up for them in the way that is good for them, but not for you. That's okay. If they love you, they will continue to love you, if they really do. For the other people in your life who don't want to go along for that journey, then maybe they're not meant to be part of this chapter. Maybe they'll come back again. But you can't stop your own growth and evolution because you're worried about how people are going to feel about that.
So what you're saying, just to understand, if your own change kind of isolates you from that community, you will find your own community from the growth and the change that you've already had.
Yes and no, because your change is not going to isolate you. Your change might make people uncomfortable and they might choose to be away from you. You're not isolating yourself. You're changing and you're growing, and that's beautiful, and you can't stop that. If somebody loves you unconditionally, they're going to join you and come along for the ride at some point. If not, then maybe they're not part of your future in the way that they were in your past, but they're still significant. We're so afraid of change. We're so afraid of loss. It's okay for things to change. It's okay for them to be different, and they're meant to be.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do you have any advice for, when you know, like my tikkun is about self-worth and believing that I'm worthy of love and believing that I'm worthy of success. And
Most people in the room have the same thing, yes.
And I know it comes from childhood, and I know and every time I sit down to the nitty-gritty, I get down to the bottom, and I tell myself, the Creator has made me. The Creator is light, so I am also light, so I'm perfect the way that I am. And I can tell myself that. I tell myself that over and over and over. But do you have any advice on how to actually choose that new belief system?
Well, you choose it every day, because the thing is, I keep hearing the word perfect, and it's like it's a word for me that I don't like that word, because it's like, no, you're not perfect. Your soul is, your essence is perfect. There's perfection in that. What does that mean? The Kabbalists talk about, Rav Ashlag talked about this a lot. If you're going to build a house, right? You write down the plans, you write down the angles, the pitch, you know where the ceiling is, you design the bathtub to see the sunset, right? In the plan, there's perfection. But then when you're building the house, right, there's delays, it's over budget, over time, there's so many issues that come up, but the thought of it is still perfect, and eventually it's going to get there. That analogy is us, right? You're in a process. We are all in a process of life. There's a vision for you. The Creator has a vision for you. Your soul understands that vision of who you can be in this lifetime, which is further than anything you can even believe that you can be. It's exceptional. It's unbelievable, right? That's the perfected self. You're not perfect, it's the perfected self. But we're in the middle of a process. Process is messy, it's ugly, it's good, it's bad, it's all of those things, and it's meant to be. So if you go through life understanding that, the pressure's off now, right? That's number one. Then you go through life, and each day, you have to take an analysis of the day. You wake up in the morning, this is my intention of the day. This is what I want to do. At the midday, you say, okay, how is my day going? Where did I put energy that I shouldn't? Who did I invest in? What conversations did I have that were not worthwhile? In the evening, you may have another list. And that evening, you check, well, how will I do things differently tomorrow? You wake up tomorrow and you start again. You take inventory of your life each and every day. People don't do this. They look at life, and this is so apropos for tonight, in years. This is a new year. This is what my year's gonna look like. And then guess what? I'm gonna come back to new year next year, whether it's the Jewish New Year in September or January, and you're going to go, oh, well, that's why you can't look at life in terms of years. You have to look in terms of days. Kabbalistically, each day has a unique energy. And what I can do in this day, I can only do in this day. Because this energy of this day that the Creator created is for this day. Tomorrow is a new day, and I have that same opportunity. And the next day. If you start looking at your life in terms of days rather than years or months or even weeks, it will change everything about your being. I do that every single day. I look at this day, what did I do that I'm proud of, that I want to be more like, that's closer to my being, and what is so far from that that I'm never going to do again. And then you start again tomorrow. Good question.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is that a form of being present? Is what you're trying to define?
So present is like a buzzword. It's also like centered, it's also grounded, it's also mindful, which is fine, right? But I feel like those words are kind of like, okay, in this moment I'm gonna take a deep breath and I'm present, right? I like the word appreciation more, because what you do then is that you look at the day, the good and the bad things. So let's say you have a day, you wake up in the morning, everything's exactly as you want it to be. You had the meeting you wanted, or you wrote the book you wanted, or the chapter, like it's going, and then out of nowhere, chaos happens. There's the dishwasher flooded, there's a fire, whatever, and now, oh my God, the day is ruined. It's really to understand that those moments that are ruined are actually a beautiful part of the day, and they're necessary. So that day wasn't supposed to be all the things that you wanted it to be that went well. That day is this horrible thing happened that I didn't want it. I'm going to find the gift in that. And that was the beauty of the day, and I'm going to continue on with the day. You understand? It's very different. And that's what I love about Kabbalah. It's very different than, I'm going to be centered. Great, those are tools. But this is a game changer in terms of every single thing that happens to you every single day of your life is for the making of you if you see it that way and if you understand it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I love all these questions. I don't even know, somebody's gonna have to be the timekeeper because I can talk and talk and talk. Okay, I'm gonna get to 2 more points. Maybe I'll go through them a little quicker. So, what informs our desires, because we talked about how, again, Kabbalah talks that desire is the biggest gift that we have, is our habits, right? So first I want to ask you to write down, what is it that you value in life? What do you value in life? It's interesting to see lots of faces, because some are like, I don't even know. Others are writing quickly, others are not writing at all. I think value, if I ask you, most people are going to write a spiritual answer, right? They value maybe kindness, value empathy, value connection, right? Those are all great. Those are very spiritual things that we value, and I'm sure we do. But if you want to know what you really value, I want you to look at how you spend your time and your days. Where you spend your time, where your thoughts are, where your actions are, is actually what you value. So, if you wake up thinking about exercise only, it's what you value. If you spend your time reading every day, it's what you value. If you spend your time investing in your children, it's what you value, right? So we'd like to think that we value these kind of moralistic, spiritual things, but what we value is really what our habits are and what you do day to day. So I want you to write down this next part. I really like this exercise. I think it's very telling. So I want you to make a list. So first you wrote down what you value, right? Now I want you to make a list of not what you value, but I want you to write down what your habits are. What is something you do every single day? Every day. Now obviously you eat and you sleep. Don't write the boring ones, but the things that you specifically, unique to you, do every single day. So those are your habits. So you're writing down your habits. And it could be, again, exercise, it could be binge watch TV, it could be drink a bottle of wine, right? I want you to be really honest with yourself. I'm not gonna ask you to share if you don't wanna share. It could be reading, just write down what it is that you consistently do. Now next to that habit that you wrote down, I want you to write down the corresponding value. So for instance, if I wrote down I exercise every day, my corresponding value would be that I find great importance in being healthy and being physically strong. If I wrote down reading, imagination is important to me, or words are important to me, or even just escapism is important to me. If I wrote down doing homework with my children, it could be that investing in their education is important to me, or spending quality time is important to me. So the habit, and then those would be my values. So I want you to look at your list of habits, and I want you to write down what your value is. Now, some of you might be wondering about your less than great habits, right? Like the drinking a bottle of wine every day, or binge watching 5 hours of TV. But even with those habits that we are not proud of, per se, which I think wine's great and TV's great, but those habits that maybe you feel like it's too much of where you're spending time and you don't want to, still find maybe the value in that. Why are you doing those things? Is it to decompress? Is it because you're too stressed? Because even looking at that is important, because maybe you're going to find that you need something to decompress, or you need something that's to make you less stressed, and then you can choose something else, whether it's meditation, or going to the spa, or taking a bath. Again, whatever's working for you, but I think it's really good to look at the habits that we do every single day, and to see if it's what you really value, and how you value things. Steve Jobs was really a great example of this. He valued his brain, he valued his time, so he was known to wear the same outfit every single day because he didn't want to spend mental energy there, right? So our habits are really our values. Kabbalistically, there's an idea called Olam Hapuk, which means the upside down world. And that is everything that we pay attention to usually, we give great importance to, isn't that important? And the things that are more important, we don't pay attention to. So it's a really great way to look at this. Now I do have one more exercise, but I think that maybe it's getting late, unless time's it.
3:45. Let's do it.
Okay, we'll do one more. I'll make it quick. I think it's really important also. So this is, how do you get to your next level? And it comes down to 4 things, okay? 4 points, and I need you to write these things down. So to manifest all that we want, it's all about understanding that the process is the purpose. And I want you to do a mental cleaning. First is learn to love what you have, which is appreciation. Change what you don't want, maybe the job you're not loving. And get away from the things that harm you, and maybe that's a jealous relationship or friendship. So the first thing is mental clearing. Get really clear about what's working for you, what's not, where you want to put time, energy, and don't. And don't be afraid to lose those things on your list. If they're not working for you, it's simply a waste of time. Step 2 is defining your next level. To get to your next level, you need to have a newfound willingness. The first one is to break your ego. Now, the ego takes many different forms for all people. It could be being afraid to be vulnerable. It could be being afraid of rejection. But ego is the thing that keeps us far from our goals. Ego is the thing that keeps us away from the life that we want to live. So that first one is break your ego. So the question there is, how does your ego show up for you? And just write that down. Your next level, this is number 2, welcomes opposition. Now, nobody thinks they want opposition, but we need to understand the purpose of it. When you come into something that opposes you, it makes you either question what you think you know, and you might decide, I'm 100% sure about this, or you realize that the way you think and what you're doing is not the way to go forward. So it's being open to all things that come at you that don't seem fair, that don't seem right, looking at it and then deciding for yourself who you want to be by that experience. I welcome opposition, it comes often, and I've learned to see it as a reminder of either what I believe in or what I need to change and let go of. It's a very healthy tool. The third is changing to the degree that you become unrecognizable to yourself, which we talked about earlier. I know it's not really super popular, but it's really everything, because again, we're meant to leave this world differently than we came into it. And one way to do this is to create a to-be list before your to-do list. So we all have our to-do list. I want to do this, I want to do that. The list is really usually nonsensical. It doesn't matter if you do the laundry or you go to the grocery store, you do all these things that you say you're going to do. More importantly is, who do you want to be? If, for instance, you want to be somebody who is empathetic, then your to-do list would be to check in with a friend or somebody who is in need. If your to-be list is to be a more aware or present parent, then your to-do list is going to be spend quality time with my child each week. So it's very backwards how we do it. Forget the to-do list, write the to-be list. Who is it that you want to be? And then create your to-do list each and every week based on that being. And the fourth, your next level is comfortable with being uncomfortable. And we all have different levels of discomfort, what's comfortable for us, what's not comfortable for us. But in a nutshell, it's to go to the places that scare you. Go to the places that are unknown. My favorite book, honestly, believe it or not, is Dr. Seuss's The Places You Will Go. Who knows that book? We all get it in kindergarten, right? I read it again with my youngest when she was 7 or 6, the 4th child, right? For whatever reason, when I read that book that night, it struck me differently. Because it's really a map to life. Saying you're going to achieve, sometimes you're going to fail, you're going to have hang-ups and bang-ups, you're going to go into the unknown, it'll be scary, sometimes you're going to fail, sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you'll lose, but you're going to lose against yourself because you're fighting against yourself. It was really, really profound. Don't be afraid to go to those places that are scary. Go into the unknown, because the fear that we all have, the universal fear, is the unknown. You will never know what is going to happen. You're not meant to know what's going to happen. You're meant to go out there with all the uncertainties, but to be certain that you're going to find what you need to find. But to do that, we really need to implement everything we discussed tonight. It's completely possible. It's completely within your power. And more than that, it's why you came into this world. You came in this world to uncover things that scare you, to discover who you are, and to really find yourself again. You know, the greatest relationship you should ever have is the one you discover with yourself, and the one that you rediscover with yourself as you change, and then you rediscover again. That is really a life well lived. So thank you guys so much for coming tonight. Thank you so much for opening your home to us. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciated all of your energy and conversation tonight. Thank you.